Now look, this is gonna get weird, all right? It's pretty freaky, but it's safe. There's no reason to be scared.
Oh, no, Daddy don't get scared.
Really? Good.
Wanda,
Yes, dear.
are you using your powers to turn on the light?
You couldn't have done that earlier.
I hate you. I like this.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that. We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Baskin-Robbins always finds out.
I am Iron Man.
I'm Groot.
I am Steve Rogers.
We're all standing up now. Bunch of jackasses standing in a circle.
Because that's what heroes do.
Hello and welcome to Maximum Marvel Drive, a show about the MCU and all things related to it, especially in the Disney Plus world. And this week we are going to be discussing Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Alex Brunel.
I'm Dustin Meadows.
All right, and yeah, I feel like this show is always breaking the fourth wall to a degree, but this time they really went in all and for it.
Yeah.
And Dustin, what are your thoughts on the episode? I think you have the most fresh rewatch of all of us.
I dug it. I think it went in the direction most of us thought it was going to go in as far as the sitcom format it tackled. Finally, some payoffs that we've been talking about for a while, us well, everybody else doing a podcast about this show or a YouTube channel or whatever. And surprisingly, we got an Office tie-in, which I was not expecting. I did not expect to get that. And then, of course, we got a bonus theme song, which was my favorite part. So, another solid episode, ramping up. We get some payoffs, but now we're also left with some more questions, too. I'm going to keep watching, so they didn't do anything wrong this week.
Alex, what are your thoughts on this one?
Largely the same. It was a total blast. I watched a lot of Modern Family, actually. I gave up on it after a certain point, but I watched it for 6 or 7 years. And the use of that format, really that show as a template was, really, really well executed here. Elizabeth Olsen was, great doing Julie Bowen's character for Modern Family. And I thought this was actually one of the funnier episodes of the show if you're just, laughing at jokes in the show. Like Catherine Hahn's, stinger of, I actually did bite a kid once. Which is dark because there's, a lot of implications to it, but it's, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other moments in the show, in this episode like that, too. And then, again, how, really, kind of relatably dark the show goes in terms of, how it discusses depression, where, Wanda's just repeating to herself, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Really love seeing this kind of portrayal of that in a Marvel show. And I'm still digging all the outside the hex stuff, too. I'm still digging the Jimmy Woo adventures out there and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So
even if he's not teamed up with Darcy.
No.
Yeah, got another Darcy team up this week.
The Darcy team up this week made me so happy. It was so good. So yeah, I'm super interested in the last couple episodes because, like Dustin said, we got to places we thought we were going already, pretty much. But still in a very satisfying way, even if this has been one of the main theories talked about and it was fairly obvious for the duration of the season. It's still a very fun reveal. Like we said, we got this own special theme song that's totally great. Stuff that we see at the end of the episode, I don't think a lot of people saw around the corner. And then we got our first mid-credit scene of the show.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, something we've all waited for every week, probably. I have.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so weird to end any kind of a Marvel show where they had the extended this and nothing. And then this time I was like, oh, this is very satisfying.
Yeah. So that was super fun. Snooper's gonna snoop.
Mm-hmm.
Wham. So yeah, Travis, what about you?
Yeah, I really liked it. But here's like a little confession. I have not seen a single episode of Modern Family.
Dang.
So the stylistically, like I appreciated it, but I'm like, I know this is coming from something I'm not very familiar with. However, I feel like, you know, when we went into the opening theme and it was obviously The Office, and I was like thinking about how The Office came before Modern Family, and I'm like, oh, I feel like The Office was very influential as far as like its style and kind of on modern television.
Absolutely.
And that mockumentary, you know, addressing the camera. Other vibes I was getting, especially with the team up between Vision and Darcy, I was getting Arrested Development vibes from that particular plot.
Yeah,
so
I could totally see that. Yeah, like the obtuse vehicle and the problems therein.
Yeah, ends like before I'm expecting it to, or before I'm ready to. It like goes to credits, and I'm like, oh,
background. This just happens and ruins your life every week.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we can jump right into it. This is, I mean, we've been doing this. This episode like takes place the morning after Halloween night of the previous episode, and it feels like that has been going on throughout this series, but at the same time, there are episodes that we are not privy to, according to Darcy, when they're watching that. So it's curious. Also curious, we find out that the broadcast is not, you can't pick it up anymore.
Yeah, it's dead.
Or at least, Hayward's
So like, where is it
can't.
going to? Like before, it made like diegetic sense that like someone was watching this TV show, ergo we are able to see the TV show. But now we've entered like this other weird thing where the TV show is being broadcast to nowhere. So
yeah.
Piggybacking off what Alex said earlier about the comedy, Elizabeth Olsen is great in this little opening. Like this is the funniest the show has been for sure. But her and Vision get some amazing jokes in there. I mean, Darcy does as well, but she was already laid in as comic relief. And I like how Dark using the hex expanding as a cutaway gag is used for comedy, but that's just like, oh, this is terrifying, but it's just like a cutaway joke like you'd see them do on 30 Rock or Arrested Development or Modern Family any other time. So I thought that was a great use of that joke, that kind of a joke in the show.
yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I really like that. We get more from the kids. Billy and Tommy are, you know, concerned about Dad. They're also, Billy specifically, it feels like everything is too noisy.
Yeah.
I can understand being a psychic living in a house with Wanda Maximoff would be very noisy in the head.
Yeah. Their game is freaking out, where they're playing a Wii, which becomes a GameCube, which becomes an Atari, which then just becomes a deck of Uno cards.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 4 systems, right? There's tons of references to the number 4 and the fourth wall in this episode.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the first indication of that. And then it's like, is it immediately following that Wanda goes for a bowl of cereal?
Yeah, she goes and gets some almond milk that begins phasing through time as well. It becomes just plain old milk. Also, there's on one of the cartons of milk, there's a missing child on the carton.
It kind of looks like one of the twins.
We don't see, but we don't know who it is specifically. So.
Oh, this is all after the title sequence, which one thing that I noticed with the title sequence.
Oh, yeah.
Is it's Wanda's name, all through the whole thing, right up until the end when Vision is just tacked on.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also like a really fast blink and you miss it, like magazine letter cutout, almost ransom note sign that pops up that says, "I know what you're doing, Wanda."
Yeah.
Which I didn't catch the first time I watched through, but then as I was going back through this time, like it just popped out at me. I was like, "Oh, that's dark. I didn't see that on the first watch."
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice little touch.
Another Easter egg I read about was in that sequence the license plate that said Wanda. The number above it was Stan Lee's birthday.
Oh, nice.
So that's Stan Lee's cameo in this this Marvel project.
That's cool. Oh, I was gonna also say the even the voiceover that Elizabeth Olsen does at the beginning. She always says like previously on WandaVision. Like usually it's like very peppy, and this time it was kind of tired.
So here's another internet bit that I'll regurgitate. That's actually been going on since episode 2. Somebody did like an edit of all of the previously on WandaVisions going back to episode 2, and it's every episode they get progressively like more and more lethargic.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think like anybody noticed it till this week, or if they did, I hadn't read about it yet. Because like every week after I watch it, I spend like an hour scrolling through the WandaVision subreddit, just like looking at memes and people talking about Mephisto.
Oh, they want Mephisto so bad.
Yeah, they really do.
Who is he this week? Is he the Fly?
He's the Rabbit.
No, who did they think Mephisto?
Is he Ralph?
Oh yeah, no, the Rabbit. That was the theory. Was Mephisto was the Rabbit?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Senior Scratchy.
Scratchy.
The theory being that Scratch is another name for the devil, even though that's not really who Mephisto is.
See, I heard another theory. Scratch is also the name of Agatha's son in the comics.
Yes, there's that too.
Oh, okay.
So there's a theory that the Rabbit is her son and also transforms into Pietro, maybe?
Oh, I also read the idea that Ralph, her husband that she talks about but we never see, is Mephisto.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a good one.
Ralph Fisto.
It's a better name disguise than Agatha and Agnes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what if we just cut my name in half and smush it together? Yeah,
like Wookiees and Ewoks.
Yeah.
I genuinely, I want the theory of Mephisto to be so wrong.
Me too.
Like, I want it to just be a massive misdirect.
Me too. I really do.
I mean, it's already nuts to me that they're introducing a character like Agatha Harkness, who I literally wasn't even aware of until we did this podcast, and you mentioned her, Alex.
Yeah, I wasn't either.
Like,
I've done research since, but like, yeah.
But, like, I mean, that's kind of fine, but like Mephisto, there's just so much to bring in with a character like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even Thanos, we got like 2 or 3 movies of him in the background before we got like a proper full-on Thanos.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember thinking how wild it was during the first like end credits scene. Well, I can't remember what movie it was that he was the end credits scene for.
Avengers was the first time I see him.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, they're really doing Thanos? Isn't Thanos like way too big and weird to do on this scale? Like, can they get away with that?
Yeah, and they took their time with it because everyone was expecting in the second Avengers he's going to be the big bad, and Kevin Feige's like, no, we're going to do the slow burn here.
It's the same thing with like, you know, until the special editions, Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars. Like, he's this imposing figure talked about for 2 movies, and then in the 3rd movie he's there and he's, you know, very scary and like a real threat. It's a great build-up.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Then we go back to Sword, and Hayward and Sword, they're just setting up camp further out from the Hex, in which we find out the signal is dead, and they're about to launch something today.
These SOBs.
It's very nebulous.
These dirty SOBs.
And that's literally the only scene we get of them.
Yeah,
It
not
is,
much
right?
for Hayward to do this episode. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll find out what they're doing next week, potentially. So then we get Vision waking up outside of a carnival where a strong man mistakes him for a clown, then introduces him to their escape artist, Darcy Lewis.
Still chained to a truck.
Yep.
Yes.
And
which she can easily get out of.
And also wearing maybe my favorite costume of anybody in this episode. Her outfit is so great. Like,
yeah.
Like, she just looks like she's ready to go join the Black Parade. And I'm all about it.
It's pretty awesome. So yeah, she mistakes Vision. I mean, like, the dialogue is great here because, like, Vision is kind of doing, like, appropriately
It's like, we locked eyes.
Yeah.
We had an understanding.
Like, he's doing appropriately sitcom-y dialogue, which is really, you know, that's got to be part and parcel of, like, how he's being kept together, even though Wanda doesn't want him to come back.
Mm-hmm.
She's still influencing him in the way he thinks. And just like, yeah, we locked eyes, and her thinking that her thinking that he's just this, this lech, and like trying to run away.
Oh yeah, that literally her first line to him is, "Can I help you, creeper?"
And then hard pass.
Yes, she gets so much gold this episode.
I mean, no, she really cut her sitcom chops. I mean, Two Broke Girls wasn't like an amazing sitcom, but it ran for 6 freaking years. You know, you put the time in, you get good at that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, and she's been funny in her few other Marvel appearances too.
Yeah, I love her. She's hysterical.
Yeah.
So then back at the house, the boys ask about Uncle P, as they're calling him now, about this thing he said about re-killing Dad, which... When I was taking notes, I had to fix the autocorrect because it kept wanting to say refilling Dad. Which Wanda says...
refill your father.
That man is not your uncle.
He's an impostor.
Yeah. She also tells him that she doesn't have any answers, and she's starting to believe that everything is meaningless.
Oh yeah, she has a full-on existential crisis, which just further makes this a great episode.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, just her having a psychotic break for half an hour.
Yeah, that was my favorite aspect of the episode. I thought this was like, I mean, she's been really stretching, not in a bad way. She's been like really like going in a lot of different places on this show, and she's been doing a really great job at every turn. And this one, I think, gave her probably the most heavy lifting she's had to do in terms of the range she had to play in a single episode.
Yeah.
The Halloween episode gave a good run for that too, but I think this episode she kind of topped herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then Agnes shows up to save the day once again, take the boys and give Wanda some me time.
Very convenient.
And this is where she said,
yes.
Yeah, she promises she won't bite, and then we get that cutaway of, I actually did bite a kid once.
Yes.
Also, just very consistent with this character, always wanting to step in and take care of the kids for Wanda. She did that ever since the episode 5, where they're in the 80s and the kids are infants, and she's like, "Oh, let me, step in and take care of the kids for you." So
let me give you a dog house for the dog that I'm going to inevitably kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's appropriately creepy in this scene. It's kind of great. Yeah, I don't know. What else?
Yeah. But I'm still curious
to
the nature of the connection, too, because Wanda uses her powers to open the door without, like, looking up or anything. She's just like, "Oh, hey,
Right.
Agnes," before she's even cleared the threshold.
Yeah. That's a good point. I forgot that happened, yeah.
Yeah, and then the entire house's furniture just begins to phase through time, and Wanda has to just continually fix it.
Yep.
Yeah, and she can fix it. It's just like her background processing is breaking down. She's like, she's overloaded the CPU, and it's just like doing wrong computations.
Yep. She overclocked herself.
Yeah, exactly. And she didn't reapply thermal paste.
And then we get the "I'm fine" scene.
So good.
And, yeah. And then Monica and Jimmy discover that Hayward was trying to bring Vision back online via the info that they got from Darcy. And then they approach Monica's contact, who has brought them a heavily armored vehicle, rover, to break through the barrier.
So this is the physicist character that she's been teasing.
Yeah.
Who, that's
the biggest red hair.
Yeah.
Who was not who everybody wanted it to be.
Or anybody.
Yes, Major Goodner.
Yeah, although I will say a buddy of mine made a really good point about it. How it seems like fans are expecting every single character to be this major reveal.
Sure.
And and I got to think about that. I was like, no, you're right. That would be exhausting if like every single thing was this huge revelation.
Yeah.
Or like this big surprise character bombshell or something.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the actress, Teyonah Parris, who plays Monica, was, like, I think trolling people because this past week she was talked about, like, I can't wait for people to, like, meet my contact this week.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm all for messing with nerds.
So it's not till, is it later in the episode that she gets in the vehicle and
suits up and gets in?
That's later? Okay,
that's
so
not
that's the
scene.
second scene.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
if it was
there's
one or two scenes.
this particular episode, there's a lot. I mean, rightfully so. Now that it's lining up with current modern television, there's a lot more cuts. There's just a lot more going on all over the place. So then we go back to Vision and Darcy, where Vision brings down the barrier in Darcy's mind, and then the two of them team up and escape in the funnel of love truck.
His distraction to break the spell is so good too.
This was my favorite joke in the episode. Look at the mime. His tray's too heavy, and her line of, "Oh, your bad back."
Yes. So good.
Those are great, yeah. And I guess Darcy wasn't too heavily traumatized because she had only been under the mind control for a few hours, probably at that point. That's nice for her.
Yeah, and then she gets to punch out a circus performer.
Yeah,
as they make good on their escape.
Yeah, well, and who knows? Maybe even at that time, now that the barrier is gone. She probably recognizes that person as some a-hole sword agent that she didn't like, and she's like, I get to punch this guy.
Yeah, because they are all those a-hole sword agents.
I wonder if
They're
it's
the
the
only
one that
people
left
there that are not.
I wonder if it's the dude who left her handcuffed.
Oh, probably was.
Could have been, yeah.
Because they lingered on him every time that he came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I think we're supposed to remember this guy, kind of.
Yeah.
That would make sense, yeah. Yeah, this is great fun. And then Wanda creating, that's later. Again, more quick cuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then after that, we go back to the house. Just keeps flipping out.
Right.
She doesn't understand what's happening and why it's all falling apart, and that she can't fix it. And then we get the person behind the camera asking, do you think maybe this is what you deserve?
Yeah.
So dark.
That was... God, this show has been so good with those moments of, just unease and dread. And every time they hit us with, a new one, I'm like, they're not going to top this one. And then as soon as I was like, oh, this is the opposite of that boom mic guy punching out Pam's ex-boyfriend in the office.
Mm-hmm.
This is terrifying.
That is exactly where my mind went. She's like, you're not supposed to talk. And I told Sarah, I'm like, in the last season of The Office, there's, they actually have the crew interact with the characters, and it was weird.
Yeah. There was a small part of me that was hoping it would be Russ Hanneman from Silicon Valley asking the question, but...
I would have loved that.
Yeah, that guy's so great. What a great character.
Seriously. Yeah. What did I have? I don't know if
And then is the commercial after that?
Now we get the commercial
Yeah.
This was a really good
for
one too.
Nexus, a unique antidepressant that helps anchor you back to your reality or the reality of your choice. Because the world doesn't revolve around you, or does it?
So, this is, and I don't know this because I read this in the comic books. I know this because I read it on the internet. But so Wanda,
I've got a whole wiki
There's a
thing.
whole-
I
there's a
just
whole
like copied
thing.
and pasted right here.
So in the comics, Wanda is what's known as a Nexus being, meaning that she is the same being across all dimensions, and therefore reality actually does, in a way, revolve around her. So bringing that into the show, like, pretty specifically, is also very big. I mean, just in terms of, like, blowing up the scope of the Marvel Universe.
Oh yeah, and further, just setting us up for the Doctor Strange and the multiverse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is like, this is the best commercial a Doctor Strange movie could have, is this TV show.
Yeah. The biggest tragedy of Doctor Strange and the multiverse when it comes out is I know that it's not going to have Jet Li's characters from the one in it. But I'll find a way to soldier on.
You know, I think you could just say it's in a different part of the multiverse, and if you wanted to, you could probably take some footage from various Marvel movies and make your own.
Alex and I were just
Yeah.
talking previous to going on the air that Bruce Campbell is shooting something in London right now. Which
What could that be?
Oh.
which I mean,
Man
talking
4.
about the multiverse thing, Alex, like
Wonderful.
It would be amazing if he was playing his Spider-Man character still.
Oh yeah. Well,
Because
and
I think you think the same thing, Dustin, which is that he plays the same character in every movie.
Well, I was gonna say that, and Ash has been in Marvel continuity as well. Ash, so
That's true.
we've had Ash versus Marvel Zombies, so
That is true. Wonder if we'd ever get a Marvel
that
Zombies
would just be
movie.
insane.
I mean, like, you could get away with a Marvel Zombies movie after introducing the multiverse.
Marvel Zombies movie.
Yeah, I would
Like,
too.
I could see an animated movie, but I don't know if we've got a live action Marvel Zombies.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Evans wouldn't come back to be a zombie.
Well, and if I recall correctly, those comics weren't under the Max imprint, but they were definitely a little gorier.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Robert Kirkman wrote a lot of those comics, I think.
Yeah. So I don't see MCU working them in.
Yeah.
We're not going to get an interpretation of Punisher kills the Marvel Universe either.
I would love that. I would be so down for that. And I would honestly be fine with any of the 4 Punisher actors being in that.
I'm actually kind of surprised that Riverdale hasn't, like, cast John Bernthal as a character that is basically Punisher without being called the Punisher and
And
doing,
give us
like, a
our
Punisher
Punisher
meets
versus
Archie
Be
thing.
fun.
Riverdale will earn my respect if they give us an Archie versus Predator episode.
That would be amazing.
They're not going to, but that comic was so much better than it had any right to be.
I did read it, and I have to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, Riverdale is not super worth watching. The first season is great in its own track.
I always just wonder, based on the marketing of it, has any idea like what it's based on?
Not a lot, but I qualify this on paper as a bad thing, where it doesn't care what the characters' feelings are about each other on an episode-to-episode basis, except for how they serve that episode's particular plot. So 2 characters could be bitter enemies in one episode, and then be, like, working together and have, like, good heart-to-heart moments in the next. And it committed to that so hard. Like, it was unflinchingly just what this show would do, is just, like, manipulate its characters for no good reason other than to serve whatever convoluted plot they came up with. That it was like, okay, I'll allow you to do this. You're all young and beautiful people, and I'll watch you do these ridiculous things for 40 minutes. Shirt off a lot, and I promise you that's worth it.
Unless he gets with Betty and Veronica at the same time, that's literally the only reason that Archie needs to be translated into a medium that's not Archie comics.
I mean, he does date both of them separately, but not at the same time.
I'll just read Scott Pilgrim again if I want that, which I'm actually doing right now.
That's good. I need to read it in color. Anyway, WandaVision.
Does the Jughead character ever wear the crown?
Yes, not consistently, but yes. And Cole Sprouse is actually hilarious. Like, he has an Instagram where he takes pictures of people trying to take sneaky pictures of him, and then posts long ruminations on how those people are as human beings, and it's really funny.
All right, here's my last question about Riverdale.
Okay.
Does Lachlan Munroe play Moose?
No.
Okay, my interest in Riverdale's dead on arrival.
But Luke Perry was in it before he was dead, and he was great.
I do like Luke Perry.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right, that's our Riverdale conversation.
Yeah. We got it's 6
which we
degrees
got to
of
from the
WandaVision
Nexus.
We'll cut off about Luke Perry before I start talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, which is great. Joss Whedon can suck it.
Yes.
For many reasons. Anyway, WandaVision.
Yeah, then we get Agnes watching the boys, and Billy likes it because it's quiet there, and Agnes is quiet. And then we get the info that the bunny's name is Senor Scratchy.
Senor Scratchy. Yeah, this leads me to believe that she's just had some kind of like psychic barrier up the whole time, which is probably what accounts for the lack of noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which seems to be a little further reinforced towards the end of the episode as well.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I got real Hansel and Gretel vibes during this whole scene.
Oh, for sure.
I was like, when is she just gonna put them in an oven and eat them already?
Yeah, I mean, she's got some plans with the twins, and I think there's stuff that I know there's stuff that relates to the comic books, but I don't know it well enough to talk about it.
Yeah.
But Agnes does kidnap Wanda's kids in the comic books, but I can't remember for why or what they ultimately.
What are kids for if not kidnapping?
Yeah. And in various points of like, depending on which story you read that involves the twins, in one of them, the twins weren't actually real. I mean, they were real. Wanda did create them, but when she wasn't with them, they didn't actually exist.
Yeah, they're only real when she's around.
Right, exactly. And Agatha played a role in that in some way. So there's something going on there. They're kind of there's definitely heavy House of M stuff going on, like stuff lifted from House of M, but there's also apparently a lot of stuff from like the Wanda and Vision comic book series.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Also, Sarah's very excited that the Buffy movie was brought up. It's one of her favorite movies.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a great movie.
Great.
One of Thomas Jane's earliest roles.
Yeah, and Paul Rubens is the Master Vampire. I mean, like, come on. So good.
He's the assistant. Rutger
All right,
Hauer's
he's the
master.
assistant. Rutger Hauer. I mean, and how good is Rutger Hauer?
Oh, phenomenal. And Paul Rubens' death scene is so good.
One of the best death scenes. And, like, Christy Swanson is just, like, great. It's like, it's a great era for Christy Swanson.
Even though she became a crazy right-winger in her later years.
Yeah, but you know what? We have Buffy the Vampire Slayer and we have The Chase. And as long as we have those two things, we're good.
That's true. It's one of the only reasons I tolerate James Wood having existed at all, because we got vampires out of it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. If you want to watch a movie about James Woods taking Quaaludes, it's called The Boost, and it's from 1988. It's about addiction, and it stars James Woods, and it's very woodsy. Anyway.
And then we get Monica suiting up, and she tries to enter the hex in the rover, which ends up, it fails, and it gets half rewritten into a truck, and then Monica decides she's just going to go in herself.
Yeah, so
yeah.
This is super fun. I mean, like, the segment of her trying to get in there with the battle tank, but the space battle tank was, like, so cool looking.
Yeah, and then she plays the floor as lava trying to get out.
Yeah, does a very good job. Actually escapes.
Yep.
Jimmy Woo's being a great FBI agent and saying all the correct shouty things at the right times.
Yup.
And then Monica's just like, you know what? I can do this. And goes through and has this, like, fantastic, like, transformation sequence where there's echoes of all of the iterations that Wanda's put her in and that she's been in.
Yeah. All the voices of the Jedi come flying back to her.
It does
That's
the
right.
rise of Skywalker thing.
Yeah.
And so there's another reference to 4 here. She's breaking through what is actually the 4th wall, and we see 4 of her as she does.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I was pointed out earlier in the episode where Wanda actually throws her out of the house the first time, she actually breaks through 4 walls. She breaks through 3 house walls and then breaks out the hex.
Interesting.
So, yeah. The show's going heavy on the 4th wall references. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and then she arrives inside with glowing blue eyes and with powers.
She's got powers now. She could see the Matrix.
Yeah. When this time her clothes didn't change either.
Right. She remained
she retained
herself.
her state, which was really cool. Which, again, is something that I wasn't super paying attention to on the first watch, but definitely caught this second time around.
Oh yeah, I mean, because if her clothes had been changed, she would have been under Wanda's mind control again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's got her powers now.
And then she rips off her spacesuit into the Under Armour version, essentially, of her superhero costume.
Yeah. Yep. Goes right to Wanda. Is that what happens next? What happens next?
Next, we get another cut to Vision
right.
and Darcy. They get caught up. He gets caught up on his own life from Darcy, who tells him his life story.
Yep.
Up to and including both of his deaths, which I forgot to comment on last week when Pietro made the comment about your dead husband dying twice. I'm like, but he literally did die twice.
Yeah,
already.
That's true.
Yeah. It's like you can kill your dead husband again.
So then they get stopped by a random red light and a construction crew in the middle of nowhere. And they're like, oh, Wanda's trying to keep Vision away. Which I've, heard theories that it could be Wanda or it could be Agnes trying to keep Vision away.
That's kind of what I was thinking this time too, because it seems like Wanda's kind of preoccupied and probably isn't even really considering where Vision is right now.
Yeah, and Vision is still completely in the dark about Agnes. He knows something's not right there.
Yeah.
But doesn't know any of what we learn in this episode.
Yeah, and then we get that great line read from Vision about not being amused, and then he jims to the camera real hard.
He jims the camera,
which is probably my third favorite after Vision and Darcy, and after Agatha's theme song. But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole thing is great, and the little asides. And just the breaking the reality is like, you're stuck at a crossroads, but they took time to park in a field so he could do a camera interview.
Right. I kept thinking that. He's like,
so good.
He's just like there and talking to the documentary crew. Which is like, I'm sitting there wondering, like, what does he see?
Yeah. Well, and then he even picks with the lapel mic, too. It's so great.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it just like opens up a whole world of questions when you're like, what, who did Wanda see when Agatha was, there behind the camera? It's, and then in the next scene where he's like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing, he like takes the mic off and everything, and he steps away from that. And at the same time, he flies out of the truck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in what order did this go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and something I forgot to bring up when the person behind the camera asked, "Do you think you maybe deserve this?" That is Agnes's voice, or Agatha's voice, just pitch shifted down. If you take that and like put it up 2 semitones, it's very clearly Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit of trickery there.
So yeah, then we get the scene where Monica busts into Wanda's house and confronts her, and then the two of them have a standoff in the front lawn where Monica begins to plead to her and tries to get Wanda, tries to see Vision, and then Agnes shows up and escorts Wanda off.
Yeah.
And then we get the cat meme.
We get the cat meme reenacted in Marvel television show. Yeah.
Yep. We get
Go
our
ahead.
superhero landing.
Superhero landing.
Oh, it's great.
It's such a silly thing. But yeah, something that I also saw pointed out online is the flowers that Wanda has planted in her front yard are red, and the flowers that Agnes has planted in her front lawn are purple.
Oh.
Mm.
And I just remember that because I remember noticing the flowers in the shot of her with the holding Monica up in the air.
Yeah, we get the cut to Dottie for the first time in a while. What color flowers did she have?
I think she was still wearing white, actually.
Yeah, I think so too. I just know that like people, I mean, just this show has people theorizing and wondering about every single character on screen,
Right,
and I
she's
know people
also
have been like
Mephisto.
wondering about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was surprised to cut back to her actually because we hadn't seen her in a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. We haven't seen Mustache Guy since episode 2 either.
We haven't seen him in a while, and we didn't have who's the next door neighbor?
Herb.
Herb. We haven't seen Herb this episode either, did we?
Yeah, we saw Herb last episode.
Yeah, he was
doing the neighborhood
Frankenstein.
watch.
Yeah.
But that was the first time we'd seen him in a minute too, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the majority of all those characters, episode 3 was like the last time we'd seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was really hoping we get more Fred Malamed, but no dice.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So
Maybe he's
then
Mephisto.
maybe.
Possible.
Fred Fisto.
Fred Fisto.
Then we get that scene where Vision realizes the absurdity of being caught in the traffic and doing the documentary interview, and he flies off and leaves Darcy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's just like, "What? Okay, I guess I'll meet you there."
Yes.
Like she's still doing sitcom punchlines, but that's just her at this point.
Yup.
Which is great.
As she waits on the crossing guard in the middle of nowhere.
I cracked up when a bunch of kids on a leash appeared.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
I love Kids on a Leash played for comedy.
I'd like them more if they were freaks on a leash, but what can you do?
Oh boy.
Also, it's interesting now that we've got Darcy, Jimmy, and Monica are all separated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kind of teamed up for so long, and now...
Yeah, the power trio has gone their separate ways for now.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy will have to hang out with the astrophysicist whose name I still can't remember.
It is something.
Tank McCoy.
I had it.
Tank McCoy.
Major Goodner.
Major Goodner. Is Major Goodner anybody, or is this just Major
no.
Goodner? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Goodner might be... Hold on. I did this earlier, and now I did not take proper notes. Yeah. We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. If she's important, we'll know later. We'll know at some point.
So then Agnes brings Wanda into her home, and Wanda realizes she doesn't know where the kids have gone, and Agnes says, "Oh, they're probably just playing in the basement." So then Wanda goes down to investigate and discovers Agnes's secret witch lair, and She reveals that her true name is Agatha Harkness.
Gas.
She's been the one pulling the strings for the past 7 episodes.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I was just gonna say I loved Wanda sitting on the couch, and Yo Gabba Gabba's on the TV, and that's the first thing she notices. And I'm realizing as soon as she is like, Wanda didn't put Yo Gabba Gabba in her show. She would have made up her own internal show that's on her TV, like everything that she was watching. But like Yo Gabba Gabba being on is like, she didn't do that. And she keeps looking around and realizing, these are not my things. I would not make this. This is not a house that would be in Westview. That's not her rabbit. That's not her creepy moth on the curtain.
The housefly.
The creepy bug.
Who was very big for a second, solely for the purpose of making it clear that there's a fly on the curtain.
Yeah.
See, people are theorizing the fly's Mephisto.
It's Mephisto.
Flyfisto.
Because I guess the first time like Mephisto is like technically in the world is like he's a fly in the comic.
Great.
So I don't know.
I hope it's Kit Fisto.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Let's start the rumor now that it's Kit
fun.
Fisto, and Star Wars is being rolled into the multiverse, and it'll be one franchise to rule them all.
My Kit
Oh,
Fisto.
hi! I'm your new neighbor, Bob. Bob Fett.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in Westview.
Exactly. See those flowers over there? They're no good to me, Dad.
In one episode, he falls to the bottom of
A well.
a well or a quarry, and has to fight his way out. And his work outfit that was supposed to protect him is stolen by like a band of pygmies.
And then we get Timothy Oliphant again.
It's stolen by Timothy Oliphant's character from Santa Clarita Diet. In the next suburb over.
I would watch that show so hard.
Hey Disney, give us a job. We got some ideas. We can think outside the box.
We got these all day. We'll expand your
It's all the
universes
multiverse
until
now,
until you can't afford the properties anymore. Sorry, Travis, I trampled your comment.
I don't even know what it was. So
just bring it up in the mix when you do the podcast mix.
Also, this basement set is my favorite set they've had the entire show.
It's very cool.
It's like what? Like I know why we haven't seen this set up until now, but like, can we just have a whole episode in this basement layer, please?
She's got Dexter plastic all over the first chunk of it.
Some Castle Grayskull stuff going on.
Yeah.
She's got the Necronomicon Ex Mortis sitting on a rest.
I've got that in the notes.
So,
which people are theorizing this is a book stolen from the library in Doctor Strange.
Oh, that would make sense.
It's one of the books is missing.
There's an empty spot in the caged books, which are like all in hexagon receptacles.
And now we know why the caged book sings.
But I mean, that would be kind of like the bricklaying for that. If that is correct, if the book goes in that spot in Doctor Strange's library, like the bricklaying for that all the way back in the first Doctor Strange that's insane. That was 2016. Like the idea that they thought they might do a Wanda thing that would involve Agnes and this book in whatever format is just like very surprising to me if that turns out to be the case.
I mean, it didn't necessarily have to even happen like
true.
that. They could have been like, let's leave an empty book and then we'll fill in that later somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, Doctor Strange is really the only significant appearance of books in the MCU for the most part.
That's true.
At least that I can remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just go rewatch that again after this podcast.
I just want that MP3 available. I just want to be able to listen to that whenever I want.
They have to have digitally released it by now, haven't they?
I'm gonna hound somebody to release a 7-inch of it. They could probably
Disney
honestly
doesn't
do
put
a
out enough
7-inch of all the theme songs on, and then the Agatha theme song. They could probably make that fit on a 7-inch.
Oh yeah.
All of them? That might be a 12-inch. Might be a 12-inch EP.
Maybe. I feel like most of them top out around 30 to 40 seconds though.
You might be right. I might be wrong. In my head they all feel like a minute and a half, but you're probably right. They're probably like just 30 seconds.
Yeah, they're pretty.
The
short.
longest one is, I think, the one from the 80s where they're doing the family ties.
Yeah.
That one's a pretty long one. That's at least a minute.
But yeah, I would buy that.
Same.
I wonder if Mondo would put that out. I wonder if they will. They finally put out the solo score. My solo LP shipped.
There you go. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm all for it. And again, it's the best use of the Munsters theme. Definitely a better use than that Fallout Boy song.
Yeah.
Oh my, I forgot about that.
that
just came rushing right back to me.
That besmirched Uma Thurman's poor name.
Yeah, that was bad.
Wow.
So we get this montage.
Wonderful montage.
Yeah, of her in every episode being behind things. And then at the end she says, and I killed Sparky too.
Because duh.
And then cackles like she did in the last episode, and it's great.
And then please stand by.
Yep.
And that line, I think, like also just like further, I think it's also like kind of a nod to the Wicked Witch of the West with the, and your little dog too.
Yeah, totally.
Like, if we don't get a sequence where she's riding a bike in a tornado with that music playing,
that would be great. That would be an amazing moment in the show. Yeah,
like drops her house on her.
Totally. I love this is something I always really enjoy narratively, even if it's like cheaply used, and I don't think it's really cheaply used in the show, but the show's done it twice now where we see events from the perspective of other characters. We saw it once when Darcy and Jimmy and Sword first tuned into Wanda's broadcast. Now we've seen it again from Agnes's perspective. And I'm just surprised they did it. They were bold enough to do it twice, and that it didn't feel stupid the second time.
Well, the second time had its own theme song, so how could you not love it?
That's true. The second time did have its own theme song.
Yeah, and I think the second time too with this reveal is like it's still being framed comedically, even though it's like not a funny revelation, but like
it's not.
It's being presented as like, isn't this a hoot? She's doing the Munsters.
Yeah. And then the mid-credits scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and this is also the second Marvel property that I know of, at least, in which Catherine Hahn pretends to be an ally to the protagonist, only to reveal that her actual name is a villain from the comics.
Did she do this in one of the animated things?
Yeah, she voiced Doc Ock in Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Where she's like, my name, my enemies call me Doc Ock.
I forgot about that. I need to rewatch Spider-Verse.
Yes. And then it's implied to some extent that Aunt May has a personal relationship with her secret identity. Because she calls her by name when she breaks into her house.
Yeah.
As Doc Ock. Yeah, I forgot she was Doc Ock in Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I was in this episode, her hair is like up in a way that I'm like, she looks like her character from Into the Spider-Verse at one point.
That's great.
That's wild.
So yeah, then we get the post-credits scene where Monica opens the door to Agatha's cellar and is surprised to find Evan Peters behind her.
Yep.
Saying Snooper's gonna snoop.
Who's still around.
He just got thrown through a bale of hay. He's fine.
Yeah. He's, there via Agnes's purple magic, or Agatha's purple magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like questions still about who he really is. Because he's not Agatha. He's being, used by her to an extent.
Yeah.
So whether he's his own person who would not necessarily be an enemy if Agatha were not around is a question, or if he's on her side, or he's her son. Who is he?
There was part of me that was thinking like he might be like a construct of some kind, but we get that shot of her like magic influencing him when he shows up at the door, which I think feeds into the theory that he's a person that's probably being manipulated as opposed to some handsome golem she constructed.
Right. And it very well still may be, the parallel universe Pietro from the X-Men films and just under this influence.
Very true, because, again, that casting is so intentional. It's got to be...
Oh, yeah.
Something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody was like, oh, it says here you played a character in the MCU, but in a different property. Oh, that's neat. Well, you got the part.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. And, of course, like, the day that this episode came out, like, I usually kind of, like, stay away from the internet all day because I can't watch it until the night of.
Yeah.
So there was a trailer drop, I guess, for, here it is, Reminiscence, which is a new Hugh Jackman film. So I kept seeing, like, I'm always aware of, like, I want to, avoid WandaVision stuff. And I kept seeing all these posts with Hugh Jackman's face on it. And I'm like, oh my, like, Hugh Jackman's in this episode. And no, it was not the case.
Yeah, I don't know how, I don't know if I would have liked Wolverine being in this.
Yeah, they shoehorned him into enough X-Men movies unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Like, I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but I feel like he's only been in, like, 3, maybe 4 good movies as Wolverine.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I mean, he's also, like, he's publicly stated that, like, he's retired from the role after Logan, but, I mean, Sean Connery said the same thing and then Never Say Never got made, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
That's true, but then later he was in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and then thought about his entire acting career and went, fuck this, and went home.
Yep. Well, that's what happens when you turn down Gandalf.
I guess so.
I didn't understand this. I'm going to go be in this Alan Moore steampunk thing with public domain characters, because it makes way more sense than wizards and goblins and orcs.
Yeah. What a terrible movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
So that's this week's WandaVision, everybody.
Yeah.
And so we will find out what's going to be happening next week, because we seem to be at the end of the, episodic television construct that's going on.
Yeah.
But who knows? We don't really know where this is going now and how it's going to be presented.
Nope.
Like, especially within the hex and the world that's going on inside there.
Yeah.
It could be real weird. I don't know. It could be, we could go back and have a Munsters style episode, and that's what this was a tease of.
That'd be kind of great.
I'd be all right with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we shall see. So we will be talking about that next week. And in the meantime, Dustin, where can people find more of your work?
You can find me at DustinMeadowsComedy.com, Twitter and Instagram at DustinMeadowsComedy, and streaming on Twitch Tuesdays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Dustin Meadows.
Cool. And Alex, how about yourself?
Twitter and Instagram at Alex Brunel, like it says, and I can be found in my hotel room where I live now.
All right. And you can find the show at Who Watches Podcast on Twitter. We are on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, where we stream every single week. Please reach us at whowatchespodcast@gmail.com. And please subscribe and leave reviews on any podcatcher of your choice. Really appreciate all of them. So yeah, I guess with all that out of the way, we will see you next week, and piss off, you ghosts.